Dr. Randy Barbour, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, I want to get more into your history. You just recently joined the City of Huntsville as the Director of Multicultural Affairs. Can you talk to me about your history before taking this position, kind of your history in government officials?
So I am a Huntsville native. I matriculated through the Huntsville City School System. So I started out at Highlands Elementary and finished up at Johnson High School in 2006. I was a three-sport athlete there, so I have a history of just athleticism and athletics. But I went off to Cornell University in Ithaca, New York, and got a degree in economics. And I moved back home after that because, again, Huntsville is a magnet, and obviously it's my hometown. And I worked at Redstone Federal Credit Union for a little bit, and then also worked at UAH in their officer-sponsored programs. And that's kind of where I got an idea to, I wanted to do funded research. And so while I was working on my MBA there, I decided it was time to go for a PhD. And so I moved out to Wichita, Kansas, to Wichita State University, and got a PhD and a master's there in community psychology. And that kind of springboarded me into higher ed, and then also working in nonprofits. So I worked in two nonprofits here in the city of Huntsville, the North Alabama Center for Educational Excellence, and then also worked for Harris Home for Children. And those experiences helped me to understand the disparities that we have in our city. And then after working for those two institutions or those organizations, I worked at Alabama A&M University as a professor. I love to teach, love education, love to inspire and encourage. And so that's where I kind of were developing and honing my skills in my leadership skills and my research skills. And I still do, evaluation and research on certain issues that I'm really interested in, environmental justice issues, educational equity issues. And I was contacted, by the office to, put my name and hat in the ring. And I'm just so pleased and graced to be here. My village is really important to me. And, growing up here in Huntsville, especially the north side of Huntsville, my village helped to give me the foundation I needed to be the leader that I am today.
What made you want to take the job for what used to be kind of diversity, equity, inclusion, but now just the Office of Multicultural Affairs? What made you want to take that job?
I told Mayor Battle my training in my doctoral program in community psychology trained me for this very role. And I think as a Huntsville native, seeing the evolution of the city, it's provided me with a different perspective. And I think with everything that I've experienced, all of my cultural experiences, all of my educational experiences, my work experiences have groomed me for this particular role. And my biggest piece of this job is going to engage with the community. I love to put my hands on people and talk to people. And so that's what this job is all about. And that's what attracted me to it. And just the impact and the influence I'm able to have in the city and the impact I'm able to have on lives.
You mentioned that you grew up in Huntsville, you went to a bunch of different places, now you're back in the Rocket City. What does it mean for you to kind of be able to be in a position back where you grew up?
It's full circle. I get chills just talking about it. My mom was a huge supporter. And again, I talk about my village a lot because they were really instrumental in creating the environment for me to really be successful. All of my academic achievements and my athletic achievements, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my village. So coming back to serve my community is really important to me. And everything that I've done has been leading me to this point in my life. And again, just very grateful to come back to Huntsville to serve a city that's done so much for me.
Can you talk to me, just about more of your history with multicultural affairs, whether that was getting your PhD or at A&M? Where have you seen in Huntsville? Where have we seen? Where do you see the city can grow in some of those aspects?
So I worked in my practicum and internship when I was working my doctoral program at a aerostructures company of about 15,000 people, Spirit Aerosystems. And I worked in their global diversity department, and that's in their HR department. And so what we were able to see is that diversity adds value, not just in the optics, but in the bottom line. So there were programs that we were able to sponsor, and we showed value in diversity. There's so much strength in diversity. And so my training and the opportunity and experiences that I had there brought me back here to Huntsville. And so I see things in a very different lens. I think on a very macro level. So when we think about changing the environment, changing how people live, it's really about giving and creating opportunities for people to really experience Huntsville in a very different way. And I think we have an opportunity to really tell stories. I think community storytelling is very, very important to represent and celebrate different cultures that we have in our city. And I feel like there are certain areas in our city that we've touched, but we haven't touched consistently, like our youth and our elderly, and those who are oftentimes underrepresented. So those are voices that we want to bring to the table so that they feel like they have a place here and that they're welcome, and are included in everything that we have here in the city.
Do you have any ideas on how you can kind of add more diversity or add more inclusivity for those groups that you just mentioned, the youth, the elderly, kind of add more for the city? Do you have any plans, ideas there?
So this first 60 to 90 days of being in the office is me listening. And this listening session is me getting an idea of what the landscape is and where the opportunities are. I don't think in challenges, I think in opportunities. And so right now I see that there are some gaps in youth leadership and youth opportunities. And so we talk about building the future is now, but we have youth leaders who need just a little bit of exposure. And I think that's kind of one of my focus areas will be youth development, youth leadership, and civic engagement in that particular community. We talk about intergenerational connectedness with youth and those who are more seasoned. And so I want to bring those individuals together, create mentorship opportunities for those who are younger and those who are a lot older. I mean, we all still have a purpose in the kind of the prosperity of Huntsville. We also think about the women in our community, women and how we want to create opportunities for them to succeed and prosperity in the workplace. So more equitable and inclusive environments in our workspace. And lastly, our intellectually disabled and physically disabled, right? So those who have the ability, but maybe need just a little bit extra help to take part in some of the prosperity that we have in our city. So those are some things that I see, preliminary things that I see. But my office and I, we're going to work together to create a strategic plan moving forward that's going to hit in some of those areas.
How important is implementing, you talked about it, the youth, the future of Huntsville? How important is that for you to kind of boost boost and get more eyes on our youth for the city's future?
I believe it's important that they have a seat at the table. When we think about people leaving, going to college and coming back home, it's all about them feeling a sense of belonging while they're here. And by creating an inclusive environment from here, when they go off to college, wherever they go, they will remember Huntsville as a place that recognized them, saw them, and really listened to what they were saying. And I think they would be more willing to come back if they felt like they belonged here in the first place. And so I think creating those opportunities, creating the programming with partners like Huntsville City Schools and other organizations that serve youth, I think bringing them all into the room at the same table and creating programs that really hit on not just hearing them, but really listening to them. Hearing is really, it's an involuntary thing. Listening is the voluntary thing. So we want to be able to listen to them, provide them with opportunities, and the social capital we're able to give them provides them with opportunities to be successful and prosper in the future.
What does Multicultural Affairs mean to you?
Multicultural Affairs is all of us. Every one of us has cultural experiences in every walk of life that we've have gone through, right? So I'm an athlete. I'm an African-American male. I am a person who has, matriculated through higher education. So all of those different cultural experiences is who I and why I am as a person. And so I think for all of us, we have to recognize that all of us have cultural experiences that kind of lead to who we are as people. And I think our city is committed to understanding and celebrating each of our cultural experiences so that everybody feels like they belong here in the city of Huntsville.
It's kind of like a melting pot.
Absolutely.
So everyone coming different,
Yeah, and I would say melting pot or maybe a really, really great salad, right? A really, really great salad that has all of the different components of it, your onions, your cucumbers, your lettuce, all of those things come together to make a really, really beautiful meal together.
Or all these different, kind of parts, different cultures, different types of people from all walks. Like I'm from Florida. Like
Absolutely.
I'm from Florida. I grew up there, moved here last June,
Yeah.
seeing it. Do you think that, like this salad that you talk about, is that something that what makes this city beautiful, in your opinion?
Absolutely, because I feel like with a melting pot, oftentimes when you melt things together, you lose the essence of oftentimes what those things and what they brought to the table. When you create a salad, we're still respecting the crunchiness of the lettuce and the savoriness of the salad dressing, right? And so we want to make sure that we're savoring and celebrating each individual person so they feel like they belong. And obviously, when you're eating a salad, right, this is something that we're celebrating it, and then it provides us with something that's really nourishing. And I think as we think about the city, everybody in this city is a vital part to our success and our prosperity. And I also believe that everyone in our city belongs here and should have an opportunity to take part in what prosperity we have here.
Kind of switching gears a little bit, I know in the last few weeks there's been a lot of talk about diversity, equity, inclusion in Montgomery, in DC. What I want to know, can you talk about your current, how does, current talk of inside legislation, inside, areas that not here. I know this office isn't state funded, but there's other offices that are. There's a lot of people that are being affected by what government officials are discussing right now. How can it, or how could it not affect your job and what we do here in Huntsville?
The mayor is committed. I myself are committed to creating an opportunity for everybody in our city to be successful. The growth in our city has not been by one person. It's a collective. So when you think about the city of Huntsville, all of the diversity we have in our city is why Huntsville is Huntsville. And we're the 27th largest city in the country right now because people are moving here in droves because of that very reason. I think it's because of the diversity. It's because of the diversity in our technology, in our aerospace industries, in our educational institutions. So everyone coming here has a part to play in the success and prosperity of our city. And again, I say it again, our diversity is our strength. And no matter what we're experiencing in the federal government, federal administration, or in the state, our city is committed to creating an opportunity for people, not a particular person, but people as a whole to be successful here. And again, we want to make sure that everybody has representation and seat at the table, every voice is heard, and that we celebrate every culture in our city.
Do you have anything else to add?
I really just think the village is really important for us. I grew up with people in my community that were really, really impactful. I had second and third moms, I had second and third dads and grandparents, and the village, I think we've gotten away from. And I think telling our stories we've gotten away from. And we have to get back to, again, telling stories and building community for all of us to feel like we belong. And those stories matter. And I believe celebrating our stories and our differences are all a big part of who we are as a city.
All right, Dr. Barbour, thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.